hope everything is cushy. I hope you're realizing your goals and dreams and ambitions and everything is coming through. And we are where we are. Let me welcome you to the Heru initiation or morning show, if you like, interactive show. Let me rise up all the technicians and everything like that, and the, of course, management and yourselves for tuning in this morning. It's very interesting week. This week has been a very eventful week, I suppose, as it's always. And it's really about how we perceive things, how things are going, and I think things are going pretty well. I know there's a tendency to try and make things look like it's a problem, and I think that's the problem of our societies today. We talk ourselves into situations which, if we had given a second thought, we would have done otherwise. In other words, we would have been psychologically prepared. And sometimes when we say that we're psychologically prepared, we don't really, even though things, it may be true about certain things, but it doesn't necessarily trickle down that we should exhibit some of the behaviors at all times. And so it turns out that if you're exhibiting certain things like constantly highlighting the negative, then obviously your life is going to be like that. And that's the law that governs our existence. And so we want to know that we're approaching things in the right fashion, even though it's correct about certain things. We don't really have to live those things. I've got a few announcements for you to make. Well, one announcement actually, and it's to do with the Feferity Music and Arts session down there, showing off the best of music and arts. Afro-Carib karaoke party. That's quite nice, isn't it? Karaoke party. Come sing along. Your host, DJ Freestyle, featuring DJ Mastercut. Yes. Long time I see Mastercut. Yeah, doors open 7:30 p.m. to 1 a.m. I do believe. Tickets free. That's on Sunday, the 22nd of December, 2019, upstairs at the Ritzy, Brixton, SW2 1JG. That is Sunday, the 22nd of December, 2019, upstairs at the Ritzy, Brixton, SW2 1JG. You'll be entertained by the Afro-Carib karaoke party. So tune up your voices and come and have a good time down there. I think I'll be there too. You never know, I might even have a little sing-song myself. You didn't know that I couldn't sing, did you? Well, I don't mind. It's all fun, We've got to have some fun, man. Damn. I think we have to lighten up a little bit. There's nothing wrong in lightening up. I think that's what's missing out of our community. The fun has gone out of our community. Actually, I better rephrase that. The majority of us are having a good time. It's only a small minority that tends to want to make things look kind of hostile. Everything is just us and them mentality. And it's a good chance to move away from that kind of a mentality, the us and them mentality, and live a little. There's nothing wrong with having a good time. And the more we have these good times and we're more togetherness, that will make things much more easier for us to handle because we have fun. So we will want to put back the fun and the joy and happiness in our community. Not that it's completely disappeared, but we need to exhibit it a bit more, highlight it a bit more, have a bit more fun. So tune your voices up, come down and sing to some of your favorite songs. Afro-Carib karaoke party. Some of the songs that you love, it makes a whole heap of difference to us when we can get together and have fun. So remember, the Afro-Carib party, karaoke party. Your host, DJ Freestyle, featuring Master Cut. Doors open 7:30 p.m. to 1 a.m. Tickets free. It's free entry. Wednesday, I'll come into that. Sunday, the 22nd of December, 2019. Upstairs at the Ritzy, Brixton, SW2 1JG. For all you sat-navers, that's SW2 1JG. And you can find Ritzy just by the top side of Cole Harbour Lane there. We used to call that place the Bug House. I don't know if you remember when we used to go to that venue. We used to call it the Bug House. Or was it a Bug House? Oh, you remember the Ritzy? Few names it had before, but let's make use of our venues, and so we can set the pace when all visitors coming in can come along and join us down there. Yeah, so I look forward to that. 22nd of December. Well, hang on, Sunday. I've got a wedding coming up anyway, but let's see what happens. 23rd, 22nd. Wow. Okay, so how you doing? I hope everything is cool. You're probably just about looking about your breakfast now, sitting up, waiting, tuning in to Feferity Radio with Rise Up Bertrack, Rise Up Stephen down there in the Charlton side of things, and also Rise Up to Doyle, if you're listening. And those of you who are on the Heru Amen Facebook and the WhatsApp group, hope you're tuned in. As I said, it's been a very eventful week for some people, more than some. And there's two issues I would like to speak about, really. And the first one is the incident with the police officer who has been convicted for having indecent images of children on her phone. Now, a lot of things and words have flowed over this, and a lot of feelings. It's given much attention, but I reckon it could be given a bit more attention. But it's known to us, and of course, the police officer is black. And so I don't know what that means. Whether because she's black now, it's going to make it a different or much more. It's going to make it some big difference because she's black. I don't know about that. Well, that's what you decide. There's a lot of feelings. I would say mixed feelings in our community. I've noticed, especially from those certain groups that have manifested in our community. I've heard them express certain misgivings about this. I do understand that there's been a petition forwarded, and you were asked. I've seen it on the Facebook, and some other groups had it. A petition is at hand that we could, protest and sign. But when you're listening to the various sounds coming out from the community, and one, the most heard sounds is coming from little liberation groups, people that see things in a us and them fashion, and I say that if we're going to see life only through us and them attitude, then I don't see any way that we're going to be able to progress. You understand what I'm saying? If it's just going to be about us v them, and I'm looking at a lot of these little fringe groups about the place, and that's what's all they've got to offer. But we got to include them in our bag of tricks, in our understanding, because they are part of the community. To me, that they are a voice that would like us to think in their way, and they would like us to see things their way. Not that is a problem, but every man to his own, isn't it? So obviously there's those consenting voice, and if you're from that particular group where you've been told that it's a kind of a war. Then, if you're in that war mentality, we'd have to find out whether that's the correct position to take, or the correct response to a situation. War footing. And if you've been educated or influenced to continue to see your plight here in the society that you have found yourself in, then in that way you have to ask the $1 million question: are you competing effectively? And there's no doubt about it that you are in a territory where there are other groups in the territory and other peoples from other cultures, and that's a fact. And I don't think there's anywhere in the world that you could go that there is not this element. You look at Africa, has always been a multicultural society that is, taking it from when first, if you want to go from when man first appeared on the planet, then obviously you and I know that there was only one race at the time. So if there's one race, then it will remain one race. It's not going to be another race, is there? There's going to be nuances of that one race, but there's never going to be another race. You see? So we have to conclude that it is one race. How you view that and how you've been influenced politically, how to think and how to view it, you are then asked to leave that fact, to move away from that fact, especially when you're dealing with politics and patriotism and everything like that. You're competing. So you realize we can safely conclude that we are competing, whether we want to accept that as a fact or not. We are competing, because if we weren't competing, that means there would only be one group within this society. But that's, you and I know that's not the case. There's more than one group, one ethnicity, one culture. So wouldn't it make sense that if that is the case, then you have to be educated the correct way to deal with that? And this is what I've learned over the years, that this is what needs to happen. Either you're going to compete effectively, or you're going to be on the periphery. You're going to be roused into a position, a non-competitive position, where you're just continually highlighting problems, and you're continually pointing out the unfairness of society, as opposed to learning how to deal with society. So you choose which is the wise way, which is the best way, best approach as far as you're concerned. Where either we're going to be schooled in how to deal with society, or you're going to be schooled in how to recognize the failure of society, and then can't and won't be able to do anything about it. But you see what it is. I know some groups, and I'm glad that they're in a small number, would want to say that they have to, for their liberation, they think that they have to leave this territory and go and live in the territory where they were once taken from. And you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the historical African, because it seems that the historical African from the diaspora, those that are here in the UK, they're thinking, to get a true in-depth feeling, you'd have to do a survey for the 1.3 million blacks that are here in the UK, in London here, and find out if there's a consensus on the way that they are feeling. So far, if you did that, you'd find that there's only a little small fringe group whose ideas are that the solution to their problems, or to our community problems, which is not unlike any other problem, but they say that the answer to our problem is to hightail it out here, hightail it out of England and go back to the motherland. Now, the few, or the minority that thinks that way, the minority that thinks that way, when you look at it, have not really progressed very far, as far as I'm concerned, because this is my observation after being in the society for a very long time. I've come here in 1959. That's how long I've been here. 1959. So you'd expect me to have an opinion, and well-formed, well-seasoned opinion, because I've spent that length of time here in the UK. I don't know nothing about Africa. I ain't going to pretend that I do. I've got no problems with Africa. But I'm just saying, to sometimes the level on which people want us to participate or be recognized, it's such a level that, anybody think that we know about the land. All we know about the land is what we've been told and what we can research. And so basically I say that for me is a sort of inhibiting factor, because if I don't know anything about something, or only what I've been told and what I have been researched, then I cannot claim that I know enough to really make suggestions and make solutions for people when I need solutions for myself here in our community. So either we're going to be focused in our community here and our development, which we are, and again, it's only a small minority feels that they are aliens here, and they've got no place here, but they're still here. That's the weirdest thing about it. How could you have no intention of remaining here? Then fine, that's an individual or group choice or anything. You can migrate anywhere in the world. This is what I'm saying. And remember the adage from our famous our prophet Marcus Garvey that said, how can you give up a continent for an island? And then the question would also be, how can you give up the planet or just a piece of the planet? In the same fashion, we don't want to belong anywhere else but one particular place, and that's where I find the problem. Over-focused, it's over-emphasis coming from a minority group concerning their position, and they're not really representative of the whole 1.3 million blacks. So it's for you to find out what's happening to the 1.3 million blacks. Where are they in the scheme of things? What are they doing? They're busy getting on with their lives, I do believe, by the looks of things, and they're doing pretty well. You go into politics, you can see them there in politics, you can see them in high positions. You can't say that there's no blacks in any high position here in society. You can see that is not the correct perception. There are plenty of black people, and this is why I'm saying I'm moving away from the overemphasis on just a particular color. And I can't understand people who claim to have been the victims of color are the first to judge people by the skin color. Doesn't make an ounce of sense. You can't be claiming that you're prejudiced against, and then you're using the same method to propel your ideas and to reinforce your behavior with these same thing that you condemned, that you are a victim of. Doesn't make an ounce of sense, and this is where we are. So this is why we try to make give a sort of an deeper understanding of ourselves as a community, not different from any other community. Our problems are, okay, you might say we have to go the extra mile because we're in a racist society and whatever you might deem that. But just to say that you're in a racist society alone ain't going to help, because that means your views are very narrow in the sense of the word. You have not got the full understanding of what's really happening to you. We understand that, and so we look for the answers not just from a human element. You have to then go into the mystics, go into the metaphysical aspect of yourself to find out the answer, And so that's just an overview of how we're going to digest some of the information that we're going to be dealing with today. I wanted to highlight this because it's apparent that there is a kind of a fracture within our group because because the person is black, and and I personally think it's a victim of technology. I don't know the lady, the sister, but I've known somebody long before this happened. It happened. The same thing happened to them. A good friend of mine. And this is about 2 years ago. Same thing happened. Somebody sent an image of a child to them, and they unbeknowingly to them that they shouldn't have done that, but they passed it on to a group. And exactly the same thing. The police came around in their house in the night and arrested the person. Arrested. And they were quite shocked. And I would be shocked if somebody knocking at your door early in the morning and say you're under arrest. You know what I mean? And this is long before this incident. And the process was that they were taken to court and actually charged accordingly and placed on a child offence register. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking to myself, wow, that means their life is finished. Really, basically, and there's an incident before that where a person, if I can find it, had to do the same thing, fight to clear their name. If I can, let me see if I can find that thing here. So this has been going on for some time. This is nothing new really, but only thing that it wasn't highlighted. Let me see if I can get it because it's really interesting. I remember reading it, and I thought after this person fought for 5 years, right? And I thought that's really bad, really. You know, when you think about it, how can you be convicted of something and you're not actually that thing, right? Fight to clear 5 years, clear name. Let me see if I can find that clip. Name of child. Right. And so that means their life is finished, really, because I'm trying to find it here, folks. 1 sec. Protecting child from. Okay. I don't think I would be able to find it right now, but you can Google it. So the person fought for 5 years to clear their name, and they actually won the case, and the name was taken off the child offence register, and that was a good thing, because why should you carry that burden? Why should you be convicted? It's like a trap, in it. They set they set a trap for you, in it. They just put that there and they watch you. Okay, you might say, well, it's necessary because of children are being abused. You know, in the increase of children being abused is increased, and we have to do something to protect the child and all that. Yeah, that's all understandable, and I get that. But is that at the expense of innocent people going to jail? She's lucky she's haven't been sent to prison, but she might as well be, because she's still left with the nasty taste in her mouth of being included on a child register, offence register, and that means you can't apply for jobs. And if she's innocent, then it's a travesty of justice, isn't it? There's something wrong with the law that can convict a innocent person, and because somebody sent a picture of child, indecent photograph, and she passed it on. And so, because of that, you're then criminalized. And the same thing happened to my friend. She's now on a child offence register. And really, her life is made a misery. And I thought, look at that. And if she weren't strong, who's to tell what that could lead the person to become, when they realize that they're going to be, unable to function properly in society, and people, and anywhere she goes, people are going to she has to tell the people, then I'm going to go over there, and then somebody might find out that, oh, you see that woman, oh, it's terrible. So how is it that the law then allows this to happen? And it's not that she can't fight to clear her name, but it's going to take a long time. It took the other person 5 years fighting to clear her name. So I suppose now she's have to continue that fight to clear her name. And what happened, even when she clears her name, there's always going to be that stigma hanging over her. So really, I feel sorry for her. So the petition goes out, and we are asked to sign a petition that she's able to, clear her name and carry on with her career. So, but within the community, there's other consenting voices as well. I can't understand it, especially from liberation groups. And I noticed, I was listening to a radio station the other day, and I thought that was really, is that the level and the minds of these so-called liberators, that they would sideline the sister because she's a police? So I have to ask the question, do you think that she should be sidelined because she works for the police? I know the police ain't trusted in our community, and one of the consenting voices from a particular liberation group, and I'm glad they're not looking about my liberation, because it's more like a mafia more than a liberator, or incarcerator rather than liberation, because of the stance that they took with the sister straight away. Oh, she's working for the police, so you see, when everything happens now that the thing has hit the fan, now she's running back to the community for protection. Well, I didn't hear her protesting about the deaths in custody, and I didn't see her on the march, and I think to myself, well, here we go again. And this is the nature of a small proportion, thank Ra, that it's not the major proportion. It's only a minute, maybe not even worth mentioning, but it's just interesting to hear these various groups run her down because she was black, and because she worked, not because she was black, because she worked for the police. And to be honest, I've never heard of this lady, but do I have to? Does she have to qualify herself to me by being a black police and coming in and attending to our wounds, and 100% just for the black community and the black community only? I've never known a police officer to ever be geared for their ethnicity. Sometimes the demands that some of these little fringe groups make is laughable. That's why they don't get anywhere. That's why they're there for the 40 odd years or so, whatever they've been, and they can't even muster signatures for their things. But this is the kind of the nature of some of the fringe groups that try to influence us. Thank Ra that we don't have to be influenced by them. We have a choice. But it's good to know the nature of these groups so we don't fall foul and decide to join their ranks for whatever they are doing. And I just don't like the idea that the sister needs help. Now, I don't know if any of you have seen the petition, but it's become a double-edged sword for those of those little fringe groups that want to influence us in the directions that we should go as a community. And so there's this fracture, I do believe. Are you, and I want to know out there, are you with that group that says because she's a police, and what they're saying effectively is because she's a police and she worked for the police, we shouldn't support her. Do you think that's correct? Let me hear from you. Numbers to call are 0730 541 7668, and I repeat 0730 541 7668. You can also text in on that number if you don't feel like calling in, but let me hear your voices on this subject. Are you one of those that believe that we should not sign any petition for this sister because she didn't do what she did? She's in the police and she's not really supporting our community, and when the thing hits the fan, she's running back to the community for help and support. Where was she? You know what I mean? In times of trouble. So if you're of that mindset, then you can then let me know the reasons why you feel that is correct. That she should not have our support because she did not do anything to support us in our community in her time of needs. Do you think that she's a victim of this? I'm not asking you to be judge and jury over her and try to work out whether she is a child molester or whatever. Let's deal with what we know here, the facts that we know, what we see and what we hear. She is a police officer, black police officer working in the community, outside the community, and of course you have not heard of her. Yeah, you have not heard of her, but she is from the black community. And, yeah, okay. Go ahead, caller.
Hello, Heru. It's Berchak.
Yeah, hi, Berchak.
I hope I can be heard very loud and clear out there on the radio.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. So on this.
Yeah, I can be heard. I'm just listening to the feed thing from now. About this police officer. Before I start, I'm recording this show.
Okay.
And I'll be hopefully putting this up on YouTube. I'll put the two up on YouTube already.
Okay,
you can search on
you.
YouTube bar Feferity Radio, and it will come up. I've already labeled it, and I'll also put no, not for kids, so that people CCOPPA won't come after me, no matter what country I'm in. But anyway, to get to the nitty-gritty of the things now about the police officer that was convicted, or let's say, maybe she might go to prison, or maybe she will lose her job. Now, I'm not a fan of the police, but there are some good police officers out there, and there are bad apples in everything. You get good teachers and bad teachers. You get good police and bad police. You get good ambulance and bad ambulance. But mostly ambulance is there for saving their lives. So it's not many bad apple, but you get good firemen as well. But the police, when you talk about the police, you get good apples and you get the one bad apple in them. But this lady, I don't know her past, and she's black, right? So what happened? She had somebody pass an indecent image in her phone, or what happened?
Yeah, somebody.
What happened?
Somebody sent a picture of a child. You know what I mean? Indecent picture of a child on her phone, and she passed it on to her. I think it was to her sister, but she had it on her phone, and the mere fact, and she didn't report it. You know what I'm saying? So what they're saying that she should have.
She should have.
reported it to the police. And she didn't do that. But yeah, but it's easy to say. But who does really think about that? You know, I mean, the first thing you're not going to have that first and foremost in your mind. The first thing you'd probably want to do is share it to your friends. Say, look, innit? Innocently, you know what I mean?
No, but you can't do that. If somebody said,
but that's in hindsight. But it's because it's happened now. But the first reaction, anyone is not going to say, "I'm going to tell the police," are they? They're going to want to say to their friends, "Look what I've seen." You know what I mean? Because they're sharing it between their friends. They're not sharing it to a group or a paedophilia group or anything like that. You know what I mean?
No, but then again, if it's an indecent image of a child, and no matter, no matter if this is a very serious indecent image of a child, or someone sent this picture, or whatever it is, they should say, "Hold on a minute. Look, I had this picture. I got this picture, and." Basically, I'm a police officer. I've been sending this. This is very indecent to me, and she should talk to superiors in private. And then they would say, "Well, we'll take a look. And then they will delete it for her. But they will report who sent it. They will probably know. They'll probably monitor the traffic that they send it to, and then they'll find that person who sent it to, and basically whether they will arrest or whatever happens. But keeping the indecent image of a child is very, very like suicide, especially when you're a police officer.
Yeah, I can see your point. I can see your point for real.
Not just that. Even if you're not a police officer, but you're a normal citizen, and you have. For example, you have a website, right? You have a blog website, and someone sends that indecent image of a child. Your first duty to do is to report it to the police. If they send you, for example, child pornography or anything, or indecent images with a man and a child on the picture, you have to do the thing and report it to the police. And the problem is, for example, there's another thing. Now, some people, like, for example, if you got a conviction in the past of, for example, if you was convicted in the past, but you rehabilitated, for watching child pornography, but you stopped, you rehabilitated, you came out of prison, you had the help to come out of prison, you come back, to a job, and you're well off. But if somebody sends that to you, you're in trouble. You understand? Because they won't believe you. But this lady has no criminal record. Yeah, she's done her police job very well. She's been applying for it. I think is she new police now, or what happened? Is she applied probably and she's got the job?
No, she's a police officer. She's been serving the force for some time. You know what I mean? And that makes it kind of worse for her.
Well, if that's the case, whoever that sent this child pornography, this indecent image of a child, yeah. For example, I'm not going to say anything because police will be very upset, or people will be very upset with me. But can it be that basically somebody might have set her up to send this image of a child, or can it be alleged? Can it be? I'm just guessing. Can it be, or can it not be? Because I don't want to have encounters with the police on what I say, so I'll leave it at that. Okay. We don't know. We will just know when the case is open. But whatever or whoever, it could be one of her friends that sent this indecent image of a child. What she would have done was look to the superiors. Look, this child image was being sent to me. Yeah, can you now have a look at the phone? Yeah, and then they will trace that who sent that image, and they will come after him or her. You understand? But sharing it between your friends and things like that, that can be a risk, even for a normal, especially when you work at high places, not just the police, but you work in a bank, or let's say you work as a person who's well paid off, hire companies, this and that, doing, slideshows. You understand what I'm saying? Or you're working in radio stations that is very, very highly paid. For example, some people in the breakfast show earn £2 million, But if you're a person like that, or comedian, or an actor, or any one of these things, and you get an indecent image of a child, sent by your friends just to ruin your career, or to do something, or to say, what you immediately do is you send that to your superiors, or send that to the police, and you say you report it. You say, report, this image has been sent to me. Police come and have a look. And then they will find that they will tell you to delete it off the computer, but they'll find the tracer, and then they will come after the tracer. They'll arrest him, or they will say, what did you do? And then obviously he's gonna maybe serve time, or he's gonna get a criminal record, or I don't know, maybe even not a warning. I don't think a slap on the wrist, but whatever it is, they'll get to the bottom of it. And this, but why would you share it with your friends? That's what I'm thinking. If she's such a, if she's black or white, I don't care about the race, ethnicity, or thing. First, what she should have done was report it to her, and because she's had a good record, I suppose, serving the force, arresting people, talking to people, she shouldn't have shared it with her friends like that, and then share it, of course, because one of her friends could have, I don't know what the case is, or maybe how did they found out? How did they found out that her phone had an indecent image? How did they found out? Who reported it?
Well, somebody reported it. Somebody else reported it to the police, and so she traced her phone as one of the sharers, I suppose. But I think mainly because she was a police anyway. So straight away,
the problem. That's the problem is that she should. I understand some things, but she shouldn't have done that. She should not have done that. And if it's a laughing joke, or when whatever it is, this is not a joke. This is like suicide. And if you're a civilian or police, the same thing goes. Indecent image of a child. It doesn't matter if you're police or civilian or a higher politician or whatever. One day, you understand what I'm saying? No punishment. They say no crime gets wiped off without a thing, especially these crimes. Now, what can happen to them is that their careers can be damaged. But what happened to those paedophile politicians? They just got off lip service. But do you think they're gonna have an easy ride when they die in the other world? No, it's not. Their skin is gonna burn. The same thing is that in this world or the other world, no crime goes without a punishment. And I'm going to say this to you before I go. When you fall on the floor, Heru, when you fall on the floor, have a think of this. You fall on the floor, right? Or you break your arm, your body hurts, but does your soul hurt? Yes, it does, doesn't it? Because you feel the pain, don't you? When you crack your bone, you feel the pain. Well, who up there who is allowing our bones, our body to have that pain? Otherwise, we would just be robots. We wouldn't feel no pain. But who has that pain? I nearly, if I, for example, cracked my legs, or I had a car accident, or been in a car accident where I can't come out, that's a lot of pain. So who allows that pain? When your eyes are in glass or so, and you feel that pain, you feel a lot of pain. Who allows that pain to feel that pain? Otherwise, we would just be robots. We wouldn't feel no pain. So that's your soul really that feel. So what I'm saying is that one day they're gonna feel that pain, and you're gonna watch them. Your ancestors are gonna watch them feel that pain. But anyway, coming back to this, my summary is she shouldn't have shared it with her friends. She should have what she should have just done was report it to the police and tell them that this has been coming. They will then take the action. But now she's left it. Someone's reported it. Now her job is gone. I mean, I don't know if I have that sympathy, but obviously she's made a mistake. Maybe, I don't know if I would sign the petition or not, but I mean, I'm not a fan of the police, but she's a good serving police officer, and she's done very good in her life, and she's not got no disciplinary or not manhandled anybody. Then obviously I think that it's not very, very good image for a police officer that she's so nice in the community to do something like this. It just doesn't be out. But we will hear more of the case, and then we might think, well, she's been set up. But if she's been set up, then, for example, in the case, then we can talk about why didn't she report it straight away? Why did she joke about or laugh about or send this to her friends? We don't know. That's alleged, but we'll hear it when the case comes to light. And how we're going to follow the case?
Well, actually, she's already been charged, convicted, and her name is she's already been convicted, as far as I understand, and her name's on the child offence register. So
but
I think she's fighting. She's fighting for her job now, I think, and I don't think after that she's going to be able to keep that, because no way could they have anyone in the force with that kind of a record. You know what I'm saying?
But will she be inside? Will she be inside? If she does,
she hasn't been fired. She hasn't been fired yet. I understand. I'll look into that more. I'll have a look on the.
And basically, as the case comes, then you can come with the conclusion next week or the week after, and then we can say, well, what she said. Well, was she being? Did something like happen to this and that? Because I don't want to make accusations of any other, because otherwise police can come and break down my door, and I don't want that. Actually, or not break down my door, but I might have a phone call saying, "Why did you say this about us?" Because we don't know the full story. Who sent the child images? Who did? We don't know nothing. We just know that the child image was sent, and she, So anyway, there are, as I say again, there's some good police officers that serve the community, and there's some bad police officers. And I'll finish it at that. I say, rise up and hetipu to your show.
Thank you. Thank you.
And hopefully I'll have the time to record it on YouTube.
Yeah, man. Enough respect, Birdtrack. Thank you for that.
Bye.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there you have it. Birdtrack thinks that she should have reported it straight away. The thing is about her case is that she's a police officer makes it even worse. You could say, being a police officer, she should have known straight away to report it. So I don't know what went wrong there. And her point, her case is now compounded because she's a police officer. When we say, she should have told the police, but she is the police. She is the police. So I suppose at that point, I don't think she has a leg to stand on there, because being trained in the police, and you should have known to report it straight away, because you're police and you cannot be seen to be having these kind of images on your phone and you're working for the police. So that in itself, I suppose, condemns her. But she's still a member of a community. You understand what I'm saying? She's still a human being. I don't know her life story to condemn her and say she's a paedophile or she's in the ring, a paedophile ring or whatever. I'm not judge and jury over her life. And so she's still claims innocence. So, are you of the opinion that because she worked for the police, that she should suffer, and because she never supported our community? I want to take a little break now, so to give you time to penetrate and ponder over that. The numbers to call us on are 0730 541 7668, and I repeat 0730 541 7668, and you can also text in on that number. So let's hear your opinions and ideas about this woman, this sister, should I say. So I'll be back with you shortly. Okay, so let's read a little bit about the case so we can be properly informed. According to this clip here, it's a targeting of the support of Superintendent Robin Williams, example of Met institutional racism. We're coming to that. The pursuit of a senior officer under paedophilia laws when she is not a sex offender is discriminatory and an example of institutional racism still poisoning the police force, and the Black Police Association has claimed. The comment came after Superintendent Robin Williams, a decorated senior police officer convicted last week of possessing a child abuse video, was sentenced to do unpaid work and put on a register meant for sex offenders. She was sent the unsolicited video in February 2018 by her sister, who wanted the paedophile behind it hunted down and caught. The judge sentenced her accepting she had no sexual interest in the children and said he had to improvise a sentence because of the very unusual circumstances of the case. Williams, one of the most senior female African Caribbean officers in Britain, do you hear that? We'll repeat that. Williams, one of the most senior female African Caribbean officers in Britain, was praised for her work after the Grenfell fire disaster. Despite her conviction last week, the public gallery at the Old Bailey in central London was packed with people who came to show their support for her. She was sentenced to 200 hours of unpaid work with her job after 36 years of stellar service. Her lawyers are considering an appeal. Her sister, Jennifer Hodge, who suffers from anxiety and depression, had been outraged. The video was circulating on social media and sent to all 17 people in her WhatsApp contact list. Williams claimed she was unaware her sister had sent her the video. The Common Sergeant of London, Judge Richard Marks, said Williams' claim of ignorance were fanciful, especially given Hodge was extremely upset by the video and the two sisters had spent hours with each other without Williams reporting it. The judge told her it is a complete tragedy you find yourself in the position you now do. Williams was acquitted last week of another charge of corruptly failing in her duty to report the video because she wanted to avoid getting her sister in trouble. The jury convicted on 5 of the 6 counts brought against Williams her sister and her sister's partner. The treatment of Williams, 54, has caused concern among some in policing in the Police Superintendents Association, among Williams' staff and the Black Police Association. For black officers, the concern boiled over publicly on Tuesday as Williams, one of the BPA founding members who was awarded honours for her work, was facing what the judge called immense consequences for her career. In a statement, the Met branch of the BPA said the Met had the discretion not to pursue Williams, but had chosen to do so. Okay, so the Met had a decision, and they could have had a discretion, because they could have decided not to prosecute her, but they decided to do so for whatever reasons. Do you think that's fair? You could have not pursue her, but on the one hand, that would mean that you would have allowed someone to possess these images and then condemn the rest of anyone else that would. So it would be like caught between the devil and the deep blue sea here. You see, so I don't know if we could really look at that and say, well, the police should have overlooked her because she was black, and or because, you know, for whatever reason, because she's a police officer. But that would be like handing the police officer a blank check. They can cherry pick when to obey the law, then, or uphold the law. And so let me go on. In a statement, the Met branch of the BPA said the Met had the discretion not to pursue Williams, but had chosen to do so. The Met BPA believes that the internal guidance on this matter allows for any person in innocent possession of any image of this kind to be treated with discretion, especially when the investigation has concluded that there has been no sexual gratification. The question that is now asked is, why was the discretion not afforded to Superintendent Williams? You see, so there was no discretion when it came down to Williams. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that there was no discretion? Think about it. And so, especially when the investigation has concluded that there has been no sexual gratification, the question that is now asked is, why was this discretion not afforded to Superintendent Williams? The Met BPA position is that this is a classical example of institutional racism. The clip was sent to 17 people and only 3 people were convicted. It is well documented about the disproportionality that exists within misconduct and complaint of officers and staff from an African, Caribbean, or Asian background. The video came to light when some of those who received it reported it to the police. The jury acquitted Williams of corruptly failing in her duty, but convicted her of possession. In his sentencing remarks, the judge gave an interpretation of the verdict. Williams had been sent the video unsolicited by her sister on a Saturday morning. Williams said she had become aware only the following Monday morning when telephoned by her sister, who had by then been arrested by police. The judge said the jury had rejected Williams' account and that by 7 p.m. on the Saturday, 8 hours after receiving the video, she was aware a video was on her phone and of its broad context, given her sister's extreme reaction to it. The judge said it was a grave error of judgment by Williams to do nothing about the video, adding that because of her experience as a police officer, she knew the imperative to act to safeguard the 5-year-old child shown in the video being abused by an adult. Janet Hills, chair of the BPA, said there have been many examples in the last couple of years of black senior officers being held to account at a higher level than their white counterparts. This has to stop. The finer details of this case needs to be scrutinized to ensure that there is fairness for all. The judge said, as he sentenced Williams, the fact that you did nothing about it was a grave error of judgment on your part, especially given the fact that by dint of your job, you knew the imperatives of so doing and had the ready means at your disposal to act. It is as though an error of judgment from which you neither gained nor stood to gain in any way, which makes it all the harder to understand. The Met Duty Assistant Commissioner Matthews Horn said the prosecution called this a sad case and referred it to the serious errors of judgment made by those involved. The Independent Office for Police Conduct is carrying out an independent misconduct investigation into the actions of Superintendent Williams, and we await the outcome. The court heard that Hodge, who was convicted of distributing the image, had lost her job with the charity Scope after 17 years, and it had destroyed her relationship with her sister. She was sentenced to carry out 100 hours of unpaid work. I have no doubt you are a thoroughly decent woman, the judge told her. He accepted she sent the video in outrage, and the court heard she had wanted those behind it caught and jailed. Throughout the 3-week trial, Williams stayed away from Hodge and her partner and did not seem to exchange a word or glance. Hodge's partner, Dido Massivi, has lost his job as a bus driver after 20 years. The court heard he blamed himself for the damage inflicted on Williams and her career and his partner. Massivi, 61, was sentenced to 18 months in prison, suspended for 2 years, and to carry out 200 hours of unpaid work. He was convicted of distributing 2 indecent images and possessing an extreme image. Wow. Now, that is really grim. So, where do we go from here? So, what a predicament. I don't think she would ever envisage that anything like that would have happened. Now, on the part of the Black Police Association, they have responded. I don't know if you feel that their response is adequate enough, according to what we read here. The fact that I think the deciding factor for her is that she is a police woman and should have known that she needed to report this straight away. If she was a civilian, then I suppose it wouldn't be any less, because she is a civilian. But the mere fact that she's a policewoman puts a whole heap of responsibility on her part to have reported that to the police. So let's look at the the Black Police Association's response on the targeting of Superintendent Robin Williams' example of Met institutional racism. Black Police Association claim follows conviction of possession of child abuse video. The pursuit of a senior officer under the paedophile laws when she is not a sex offender is discriminatory and an example of institutional racism, still poisoning the police force. The Black Police Association has claimed. The comment came after Superintendent Robin Williams, a decorated senior police officer convicted last week for possessing a child abuse video, was sentenced to an unpaid work and put on a register meant for sex offenders. She was sent the unsolicited video in February 2018. So, as far as they're concerned, as far as the Black Police Association is concerned, it is institutional racism. Do you think that's the case? Do you see it as a racism? If she was white, as it said, they could have easily not prosecute her through no discretion or through discretion, not pursue it. But they chose to do that. Do you think it's because she's black? I mean, we can only say what would happen if she was white. And you can't say there isn't any white people that's been convicted of this offence. Is there any white people that are convicted of this offence? Of course they are. Look at what's his name, Rolf Harris. Look at what's his name? Want to be in my gang? What's his name? You know, and quite a few have come to light, and they were white. So can we claim racism in this case? Let's hear it from you. You give me your opinions. The numbers are 0730 541 7668. Now repeat, 0730 541 7668. What is your opinion on this? Can we claim, are the Black Association, the Police Association, correct in trying to claim racism here when there have been whites convicted, famous ones as well, celebrities, they've been convicted, and their names being plastered all over the place? What's it, Jimmy Savile, and quite a few of them, and they're white. Do you think the law was discriminating at that point too? I don't know if the Black Association, Police Association is correct in claiming that the Met is institutionally racist because they would have done something different if she was white. How is that compared to the fact that there have been white people, famous people, high-profile people that also that have already been convicted? And if we go to America, we can talk about, what's his name in America? The actor, the black actor there, he's been convicted. You know, a lot of them have been. So is the law fair? I think personally, the organization that's escaped conviction is the actual social media themselves. Because you cannot upload a picture on your own, can you, really? You have to go through the machinery, innit? You have to go to that. You have to put it on. I don't know how you upload photos nowadays, but you have to go through the machinery provided by the very people that invented the social media. So how come they escape? I think Facebook itself, a platform for these WhatsApp groups, Instagram, themselves, the people who invented these social medias, how come they escape? They prepared the platform for this to happen, and their mechanisms were used as well. So I think whoever founded Facebook, whoever founded WhatsApp, should have also be prosecuted as well, because they were actually, their mechanisms were used to upload this picture on the social media. They must have been aware that was happening. Whoever monitors these things and putting any safety measures in place, they also should be prosecuted. The head of WhatsApp and the head of Facebook, because they were the ones that allowed this thing to be put into the social arena, and they should never escape prosecution as well.
Hello, Heru.
Yeah.
You come to a very good point. You come to a very, very good point, and that's why this led to another thing. Now, I can't be heard loud and clear. You know that now they wanted the European court. You know I told you about the thing of Article 13, don't you? And Article 11.
Yeah.
And this is why they want to bring this in, because they want to block three things. They want to block Article 11 as the link tax. So anybody, that includes Facebook as well, that includes Google as well, any of these, for example, people, there's people out there. I hear these on mainstream stations to stop them accessing child pornography or child images, or, for example, them like a normal lady having it with a pig or a dog or whatever. Because like it's gone so filthy and disgusting. I mean, even like going through, like in my head, when it goes through my head, when I hear this on the news, I feel sick that there's people out there, evil people out there, telling people not just about images, but how to hurt their mothers, how to hurt their sisters, how to destroy. So that's what Article 13 and all this, in one way, came to force. Like we want to bring it to force because they want to stop. One is, I understand they want to stop copyrighted material, because when you publish a book or something like that, and then people steal your work, and then people, film industries. But the other thing of Article 13 and 11, they come together because child pornography, child images, people telling people, this is all sick, and also animals, humans and animals porno, and also people out there on the web, they want to tell you how to hurt some people, how to harm them. Yeah, and these are not freedom of expression and things. That's why they want to block all these stuff.
Right. So, go on.
But it's like you have, let's say you have a knife, right? The knife is good to cut apples with, or to cut your chicken with, or if it's hard, you cut the chicken and things. But the other bad side, if you think about the bad side of the knife, you use it. Yeah, it's bad because you can use it as a weapon to go out there and make stabbings. Yeah, or go out there. So it depends on what your intention is. So it's a double-edged sword. Shall we now go after all of these things that happen? Shall we now go ahead and block every single thing, including not just indecent images of child, not just animals and ladies, or animals and men porn, or child pornography or anything? Should we just block the filth as well, where you have things, for example, where three men abusing a woman, an older woman, three men blowing up champagne bottles in a thing? Or should we block every one of these things, even pornography now? Because have we lost the thing of morals? That's what we should be talking about.
This is what I'm saying.
Have we lost all morals?
Yeah. It's not really us that's lost the morals, but it's these companies, these big conglomerates.
No, sorry, not us, but as people, as like, look, these companies it's called people power.
Yeah, no,
King
but
Lion said
yeah,
it's people power.
yeah, but Bertrand, what I'm saying is to you, right? How come these images were allowed to be loaded in the first place? Don't they have filters? I mean, the mere fact that they were allowed to be uploaded, I don't know, because I don't really do much uploading myself, but surely if I was to upload something and it wasn't conducive to, you know, it wasn't really decent, then why was it allowed to be uploaded in the first place? So
That is why I told you when you now you say another good point. Then now you hear another good point. The European Article 13 says, and Article 11 says that if you upload before you upload, yeah, it doesn't matter whatever image it is. They want to go more strict and say copyrighted or dangerous content, for example. And it doesn't matter what you write on Facebook or what they will say, for example, you're against the government. You say, I think this government should be out. They will put anything that you upload. They will put it as no, cannot be uploaded because dangerous content. Dangerous
So how come it wasn't the case?
Content.
How come it wasn't the case in this?
But they will have a machine censoring it rather than humans. They will want basically humans not to censor it. There will be computers that will censor it. So anything that you upload. So they want to, for example, and you're saying, well, how comes there was machines? But machines don't have brains to grasp. Even if you have an artificial intelligence computer, like a human being, it cannot have the brain to grasp like a human being to say, oh no, before you upload it, basically they have the technology to check it.
That's right.
The human can say, hold on a minute, this is a very dangerous image of a child, and they will not confiscate it. They will just basically, when you're uploading it, they will have the technology to report it. As soon as you press the upload, the upload button, they will see it themselves and they will immediately report it to the police. Yeah, humans have the brain to grasp it. A machine does not have the brain to grasp it. So what they're trying to do is Article 13 and 11 says that any old things, for example, but this is worse, that you try to share an article to the truth, they will link tax it. So that's why they're not going to think humans to think. They're going to give machines the power to basically censor out anything in the future that you upload. Yeah, any image. Doesn't matter what it is, if it can be an image of goodness and goodwill. But that's also what I say is how I put the knife example. But in this case, now, we're coming to now, because that's going to be in 2021 when the rules apply. But, I suppose. But, so now, what could be happen? If there's humans in this, they have the technology, I suppose they have the technology to say, hold on a minute, the people in charge of all these companies to report. Yeah? This includes child images, indecent images. This includes if there is an older woman being abused by three men and being, I don't want to go because it's too inappropriate, but burned, like lively and being laughed about. This could also be like, basically they have the duty to report because it's disgusting. Even in prostitution now, they've been forced the trafficking of older, and they've been abused and hurt, and you understand what I mean? I'm not going to go to details. With children, however, if there's images of children, if there is images of a woman and, an animal having a being together, how basically humans can have the right to censor and say these companies or anything could say, hold on, this is not acceptable, we're going to report this to the police. And they'll write to you, they will say, Mr. So-and-so, we're going to report you to the police in email. And then, however, as soon as the police will come, you understand what I mean? And basically, about the lies that they say there's cuts in the police source and everything, but this time there'll still be police around to come. And whether it's not maybe not one day, maybe the other day. If not the other day, maybe you think. And depending on what you are, how dangerous you are, you understand. The police could even I suppose act as judge during executioner, like you saw in that that Muslim man that was arrested for stabbing. The public arrested him. They got the knife off him and everything, but the police just came and shot him when he was all as they said to the public, get off. As soon as he got up, they shot him. Bang, bang, bang. Why do you think that is? Because they knew that this man could be a danger. And even from prison, if he goes to bail marshal, there's already Muslims in bail marshal. Or you can meet somebody in prison who can say, hold on a minute, this policeman arrested me, so and so and so. Why don't you go and, you understand, do so and so to these jurors or these judges or these... So if they're mixing up with that crowd, the police will... Well, I don't want... This man's going to be a nasty piece of work, yeah? Let's take him out so that I don't be risked, because you never know, that policeman could have a child, or he could have somebody he loves. Imagine someone breaks in through your door. Let's say your son's a policeman, yeah? And 3 terrorists break in through your door and take your wife, yeah, and your child. That policeman would be devastated. So he acted up on his own judgment. He must have said, well, why don't I just, kill him? It will be better. It will be safer. You understand? Because when somebody's in prison, you don't know who's going to mix up with. You can just mix up with a massive man and just, still carry on to take you out, or, you have to look over his shoulder. But what I'm saying is that case is different. This case is different. Now here, you've got, how do you say? I'm trying to put these in words so people can... Now, what could be happening is this could be endorsed. Well, if there's a picture of child images or any of these disgusting things, pigs and women, porn, child pornography, indecent images of a child, or 3 men, you understand, doing nasty things to ladies that have been trafficked, older ladies. That includes, beating her badly, hurting her, or anything, any of these images, like cannibalism. You understand, the man just come up on YouTube and he was eating people live. Any of these images, or any of these other things, hateful stuff like hurt your mother, you understand what I mean, or to say things that... Remember that man who was telling about hurting people and you get 6 points for it and this point for it, hurting a Muslim. You heard about that, haven't you? In England, they straight away arrested the man. They came in straight away after when you read those things about how many points, for hurting a Muslim or hurting a black person, or they came and arrested him. And basically, but in Germany, basically, if you write these things, however, these kind of thing, they didn't even arrest the guy, and there's still hatred now burn up. But what I'm saying is about this thing, it doesn't matter which country you're in the world, they will have machines to censor this and report it to the authorities. That person will be arrested, will be charged, and any of these disgusting things. And even these hate speeches, I think, should be taken. But what I'm saying is, the less penalties you can face, or community sentence, or maybe a slap on the wrist. If you posted, for example, copyrighted material, let's say you posted a movie of Jean-Claude Van Damme, or movie of, you understand, a new movie of Steven Seagal, to upload, or you understand what I mean? Maybe they will take it off and take off your channel, but a person could always create a new channel. You understand?
Yeah,
but if he does it again, he gets prosecuted. But these images of children is sickening. And I don't know what should be happening. What do you think is your input on what should happen? Because, whether you're going to censor everything, and the computers aren't going to have the brain to censor everything. So what is the boundary? What is the thing? Because you can use it for the bad. The computer could be used for the bad to censor everything. you know, and think that is why, you know what? We are normal citizens, through me and you. We're like men. You understand what I mean? We walk our heads high in front of the police because none of us has done nothing wrong. You know, I walk in front because I was told, yeah, you walk like a man in front of the police, whether it's a woman or the man. You don't run. You don't keep, every time you see a police car, you run, you know, or this or that. You walk like a man because you have done nothing wrong. When you see a bus ticket man, you understand what I mean, comes and checks your ticket, you give your pass like a man, yeah? And don't, you understand, don't start threatening or don't use any bad things because that could intimidate. So whatever it is, when you're in stop and search, they stop and search, you stop and search like a man because there's nothing to think, because otherwise people will get imitated. But in this case, this black police officer, I think, intimidated the police by, they must have asked her, why didn't you report it? And she just said, well, you know, that's not good, is it? I mean, whether she's black or white, or Asian or whatever color or creed or religion, she's supposed to report it. And they asked her, why didn't you report it? I mean, in some countries, you would have had, for example, you know, your hand gone or your finger gone. You know, in Iran and everything, some of your country, you could go to prison if you was a black police officer in Iran and you got found these images. You could go to a lot of the prisons in Arabia, in Malaysia, you know. Some of the things you can even get hanged. You know, like in China, you can get hanged. So, you know, I don't know. Yeah,
well, let's see what happens here then, yeah? But we're going to put it out there. People will call in and give their view as well. Right, okay, thank you for that, Bertrack. Enough respect.
Bye.
Thank you. So, there's another case. There is another report here. Where is it? That paedophile police officer spared jail after being caught with 9,000 indecent images of kids. PC Stephen McGoldrick, 50, quit Gloucester Police after he was charged with 5 counts of making indecent images of children. A former policeman has escaped a prison sentence after he admitted possessing nearly 9,000 indecent images of children. PC Stephen McGoldrick, 50, quit Gloucester Police after he was charged with 5 counts of making indecent images of children. He appeared at Bristol Crown Court to be sentenced after previously admitting the offence. McGoldrick of Gladys Street, Aberdare, South Wales, was sentenced to 18 months community order with 40 days of rehabilitation and ordered to carry out 150 hours of unpaid work. How much did the police officer was ordered to pay to do? Wasn't it 200 hours? And here is a man who definitely admitted of keeping these images, was only asked to carry out 150 hours of unpaid work. I don't know how the sentencing goes, but at the end of the day, we have to be careful in what we're doing. And so there's another case, another police officer. I assume he's white. Admitted these things, and look at his sentencing. Is there a case for discrimination? I'll take a little break and then for you to ponder that, and we get back after a little bit of music. Okay, lightning, brimstone, and fire. Going to burn everything out. So, what we got here then? Some interesting discoveries here. And another police officer that's been convicted of this and given maybe a lesser sentence. So the racism thing could be a factor in this as well. I'm not saying there isn't any institutional racism, But here, it's to me, it's evident. 18 months, right. So Judge Peter Blair, QC, the recorder of Bristol, also placed Matt Goldrick on the sex offenders register for 5 years and made him the subject of a sexual harm prevention order for the same period. Passing sentence, the judge said, "These were abhorrent images which I believe you now acknowledge and understand have real victims. You have fallen from grace in a massive way due to your former employment as a police officer. You have shown considerable remorse. You must understand that I impose this sentence because I have concluded there is a good prospect of rehabilitation which can be best achieved through a community order rather than a custodial sentence." Isn't that something? You see, so there you have it. Here's a judge recognizing that pedophilia is not really just a lifestyle choice for some people, but is also a sickness. Do we need to look at it that way? Are we over-egging the pudding a bit when it comes down to people that are convicted, those people that have been convicted years ago, the celebrities and all those people, you know, were they not seen as being ill? Should we ever look at paedophilia as an illness? And the people who commit these things should be treated rather than just locked up and left to whatever. You know what I mean? So these are cases for you to ponder on. Yet, as I said before, the mere fact that the media itself, or those who create the media and got rich off of the media, left it wide open. It's like I was talking earlier, me on Freestyle, and he's saying about the conviction of the contradiction, should I say, between the smoker and those that make the cigarette. And for me, it's been a worry from the longest of time, how that the perpetrators are not really identified and they're allowed to escape. The cigarette companies should be made to pay the bill for people who have lung cancer. You can't really just say, well, you shouldn't smoke. It's like, say, if I'm starving and someone come and wave some food in front of my face and say, well, you shouldn't eat it. You know what I mean? I'm a starving man. Come on. You're not going to wave food in front of me and don't expect me to eat it. And it's this kind of a way, this cosmetic society that we find ourselves in, where the perpetrators are allowed to escape. You know, killing people legally, for instance. The government does that all day long. They allow you to smoke. They take taxes off of you. When they allow cigarettes to be sold in shops, you know, you might as well go out and stab somebody. You know, what's the difference between that and smoking? One's immediate, one's more quicker and rapid, while the other one is just as criminal. The government's making money off of your downfall. So the whole hypocrisy, and we say it so many times, and they don't really understand this, but we say it so many times. The system is a hypocrisy, and we could say that about any system that man makes. You understand? You have to say that in any country you go, the system. There's always people can find faults with systems all over the place, but they are a fact and a feature of society. So we can't get around that. No point in rabble-rousing you about the system when we know that we're going to need a system. So it's either the system. It's either the system going to say, okay, we're not going to have any cigarettes, and there are societies where you can't smoke, and you can't drink, you can't do anything. You understand what I'm saying? But they're looked at as being draconian. So what are we to do as humans? What is wrong and what is right? You decide that. Numbers to call me on is 0730 541 7668. And I repeat, 0730 541 7668. You can also text me on that number if you like. Who is the real perpetrator of all of this? Are we just victims? Is there any way that society can actually be more responsible, in a sense? Can that be so? Is society responsible? You know, is society responsible? Or are they allowed to escape? And the perpetrators wax fat on it. Again, if you look at the cigarette situation, cigarettes kill. And if they do, then why do the governments allow people to smoke? Why don't they do like other governments and say there's no smoking going on here, there's no drinking going on here, there's no drug taking going on here. If we find you drug taking, then I'm afraid we're going to have to either sentence you or take you out. Is that the right way forward? Do we, chain our people, chain them up? Do we browbeat them? Do we force them into positions where they are not allowed to do these? They don't make the decision not to smoke or not to drink, but we can still dangle it before their face, you know what I mean? Here's some cigarettes. And then we wonder why the NHS is overcrowded with people that are suffering from smoke-related illnesses, lung cancer and all these kind of things, while the government comfortably supports the selling of drinks, cigarettes, the drug taking that goes on. Where is the human place better? At the edge of this, where they can be tempted? Do they prove themselves as being able to resist temptation? You know what I mean? By the government themselves supporting these things. And so, for me, at the end of the day, the perpetrators need to be brought to book as well. I think what should happen, every bill that the NHS gets for lung cancer should be taken out of the pocket of those cigarette companies or other companies that are benefiting from poisoning our society, killing us legally. They're allowed to kill us legally. If you hear something like that. And so if society itself were more responsible, I do believe, it's my point, society, those that are the movers and shakers, the lawmakers, all these institutional creators, all of these people who have a role in society, who are human themselves, should create and take up more responsibility. The media, the social media as well, the platform that allows people to upload these kind of images and stuff like that should be accountable as well. There's no accountability just on the human. Oh, you see, you got to behave yourself, or you see, you got to do this and you got to do that. While we do this and while we do that, while we make it more difficult for you while we tempt you, we're the devil here because we're doing the more tempting. We're creating all these things for you to be tempted to smoke and to drink, because we sell drinks and the government makes revenue from that. The money that they make from these things and taxing the social media, those people that create it, they take money off of them. So the monies are going back into the government coffers. So where are we in the scheme of things? Who's going to really protect us from the government manage and run society where they are allowed to kill you legally? And it's a contradictory to look on a cigarette packet, and see the words "cigarettes kill." You know what I mean? Government kills too, And it's a human thing. You should realize you're in a human situation. That's how humans treat each other. That's how we deal with each other in this kind of fashion. We make judgments on each other. We, make demands on each other where you should be in society. But if we don't provide the environment for us to escape the tyranny of the lower self, like we did in Egypt, that's why when we created our societies, we had universities on that people can know themselves. You see what I'm saying? That they can know their lower energies and their higher energies. That's why we had the University of Man, know thyself. Here, it is done, and this is just the nature of Western society. Because at one point I read when other dignitaries visit the country back in the day, women would sit down and bare their private parts right in front of them. I read that in a book. And so, but you can't touch it. So it's a kind of a devil and God mentality that's running the psychological aspect of this society. The temptation syndrome. Here's the devil tempting you, and you must resist at all costs. And there's nothing in place that can give you the wherewithal that you are able to resist these things. There's no point talking about human beings are unable to resist when you're not giving them any methods and means whereby they're able to resist. They just ride on the fact that you're human, you can be tempted, and they're tempting you, okay? The very people who are meant to protect you are the very people that are tempting you, making society, affluence, making the children look at affluence as acquisition of material wealth, the capitalistic system. So all of these things go into helping us, help blind us, because there's nothing in place that we can use to be able to resist the temptation. Making cigarettes, once you've become addicted, then the government's making money off of your downfall. Who's going to take responsibility for that? Social media. Who's taking responsibility for social media by putting that in their arena where they have nothing in place that could allow people to actually use the media without the temptation of all of the crap that we can see that goes on. And this is supposed to be what we call progress. But the people that claim that they're helping us to progress have got no responsibility, no accountability, and they can do as they wish. And this is the nature of human society. Humans will always do what they will and what they deem as being best. And so, all of this, the woman, the police officer, and she's not the only one, as I just read another one here. And so paedophilia seems to be a function of human society. How would you explain it? You know what I mean? So it's a thing that happens. It's a cancer within the psyche of man that allows them to do these things. And so we have in place, that's why I do the show on Tuesday, to look at the wherewithal, how to give yourself the wherewithal to resist. If there's nothing in place, you will never be able to resist the lower self. And this was the whole meaning and function of the university in Timbuktu. Man, know thyself, know yourself, know the lower energies. So we don't only create solutions, problems, but we look at the solution. So we've highlighted the problem before. We can highlight it so many times. But what is the solution? The solution. How do you root out that and many other things in human society that needs to be rooted out? That where we can say that we're well and truly civilized. You're civilized because you're able to resist. That's what gives you the civilization. Civilizing factor is that you've grown, you've found the wherewithal, you've created the institutions and the mechanisms for us to realize how to deal with the lower energies And this is why it was part of our society. Now, you don't have that. All hell breaks loose in society because of the governance. The people that govern society are what we call the Sahuman. Those people that don't have any metaphysical inclination or any understanding of how the humans are. And as long as you don't have an understanding of how or the nature of the human, how are you going to prepare the solution to these problems? So, pedophilia, is that a sickness? Or is it something that you can lock up people away from? Or what, do you rehabilitate them? Or you just hang them, kill them, and get them out of the way? Well, you might as well do that with everything. That's not, what they call this, aberrant behavior. Is that how you deal with it? Are we able to deal with the sicknesses in society? Do we mask the sicknesses? Because there's nothing here in this society that we can say that we can go under in terms of initiation and, rehabilitation, the understanding of the self. There's nothing in Western society that's in place for that. In our culture, in our societies, there's plenty of institutions and universities there for people to realize their divinity and realize their lower self, and then are able to create the wherewithal to withstand the temptations that face us today. It's a pity that our youths are not privy to these things. We create Saturday schools. We create these institutions and all that, but do we create a school or institution whereby our pupils can be put under, can be taught about themselves? Right now, I'm sure that our youths know nothing about their lower selves. They give in to these things. They give in to the subliminal forces. They don't understand the forces. We seek, we look in terms of people rather than forces, but they don't realize that the forces that possess these people. So as somebody's running a government, they should be qualified, not just intellectually qualified, but they should have been put through to some spiritual initiation program, that they know that they have people put in the right places, people like who are in charge of economics and are in charge of the wealth, can distribute the wealth more fairly and more equally amongst us. So it's about that, isn't it? The distribution of wealth, the societies that are run by individuals and who have not got their lower animal under control. This is the solution, brethren. Because we talk about the problem already. Spent a good time on the realization of these things that happen to people in society, but there's no way out. Now, that young lady there now, she's going to be left with a bitter taste in her mouth. What is she going to do with herself? Let's hope that the sister has enough mental wherewithal not to do anything silly. Now that her life has taken that turn, she's not talking to her sister, she ain't talking to her sister's husband. Wow, would you like to be in her shoe? By one silly mistake. I don't know. I don't understand why, as a police officer, she didn't report it straight away, or even say to her sister, "Listen here, so I could get in trouble for this. I'm a policewoman. Don't." And it's been said before. It's been highlighted before. So it's not that the community is not aware of the danger of posting or even uploading images like this. Come on. So I'm not here to judge the woman, sister, as far as that. But I want to know, do we support her as a community? Do we sign the petition? Do we support her? Or do we just leave her to the wolves and say, well, it's your fault? Just like you'd say, it's your fault why you smoke, or drink, or take drugs, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, mate. Get on with it, you know what I mean? There's no help. As realizing who the nature of a human, but it's expressed in terms of theology, how the devil came to tempt Eve. And that kind of a syndrome is stuck in our psyche. The devil came to tempt Eve. Is the devil tempting you today? If there ever such a thing, when we know what it really meant, that it was, it's the consciousness of people that represents the devil. The consciousness is the one, is our judge in us. So if our conscience is not, if your conscience is smeared with a hot iron, then I'm afraid the judge is dead inside of you. What happened to her judge? What happened to a lot of our judges? The decisions we make, the choices we make. Where's the reference, the frame of reference that we can measure our ideas by and measure our, understanding and cognition by? Once we can understand that, we can understand where we are in the scheme of things and where we actually go and what's needed to be done. We need to have a much more higher resistance, especially in these days where you can, with a flick of a switch, get done for things like this. You know what I mean? We've got to be very careful. So we need to train our children how to use these social media. You know what I mean? They have discovered it themselves by now. They are fully aware. But some of the images that are posted on social media, I tell you, are really of a weird, of a nature that if you're not strong mentally, it can easily affect you and turn you into someone fearful, and it makes you just don't even want to use social media nowadays, because you can easily get what the system got. But I don't know how she worked it out. But as I said, do we support her? Do we sign the petition? What can we really do? What can we really do to help her? Does she deserve our help? And is it because she's a policewoman now that she's not going to get no help, no sympathy, no empathy towards her because she worked for the police? That's another aspect of it. Because you work for the police, because you got a government job, you're looked at as a traitor. And we've got to get out of this bad habit. This is one of the bad habits that I find that we shoot ourselves in the foot all the time because of the nature of our trauma. And we spoke about trauma all the time. We can understand that the nature of the trauma is that we eat each other in that sense of the word. We turn in on each other because they had a particular stance, or you find a particular job. You work for the government, and as long as you work for the government, you're a traitor in our eyes. Well, that's a minority view. A minority view. That's not the view. That's not the view of the majority of people, or the majority of blacks in our society. So where are we ordered in the scheme of things? Did we get this right? Get this correct? As far as we're concerned, the perpetrators escape. That the companies, the conglomerates that make cigarette, make drinks, make all sorts of like GM food, and they don't really cater or care about our health, but yet they're in the government. So what do you say then? You think that there's going to be a theocratic government run by God or something, and whereby we have laws that says we can't smoke and we can't drink and we can't go to parties, and we just have like a draconian type of society where the restriction of the human nature is what it's about? Or you can also have the other end of the stick where we just promiscuity. Where is the middle road? And the middle road was with us. We're the ones that invented the middle road. We decided, well, if it's about the nature of the human and how to handle the nature, at the end of the day, we can wax lyrical on what we think should have happened, or what we say has happened, what we feel happened. the million-dollar question is, how are we going to prevent it from happening? What are we going to be doing to put in place a mechanism or a structure whereby we can put our immediate family under an institution where we can go to, instead of having Saturday schools like that. We create other schools for moral institutions, and moral uplifting. I know the church is supposed to be that, but even the church fails. Even religion fails, because the pastor's making a quick buck out of the congregation. He don't really care about the shortfall in their makeup. All he cares about is material wealth. How much girls can he have? Or men too, come to think of it. So it's another outlet for our lower self there. Even the church cannot prevent the subliminal forces of the lower self that cause the problem in the first place. You understand? Why would a man do that to a child? Should be the overarching question in our society. Do you take out people like that? Do you lock them up and hoping that when you release them again, they will not reoffend? Do you believe in rehabilitation? Do you believe in understanding or trying to understand the people that perpetrate these things in order for you to correct the behavior? Or is the behavior in any sense that you're looking at, do you really want to correct their behavior? Do you want their behavior to be corrected? Or do you want to run a society that's full a bunch of perverts and stuff like that, which uncontrollable lust? You know what I mean? Are you quite happy to run a society like that? Or are you going to create the institutions whereby you can place your inhabitants or your adherents under the cosh, as we did back in the day? That is why we were civilized. We weren't acting like animals, running off of instinct and emotions. We have a choice. Animals don't have a choice. But we don't want to exercise that choice, because what we do, we call that, in the Kemetic side of things, we call that the will. I'm talking about solutions here before the end of the show. So you'll have both sides. You've heard it all before. You heard it all week about the incidents. You probably didn't even know that there were other police officers. I've just read one in Gloucester. So it's not really a police thing. What it really is, it's a human thing. Have we evolved enough up the human ladder to be able to resist? Or do we put in place in our governments and in our societies people that have had high initiations so they won't rob the coffers? How many of people, if the police actually, if law and order break down, the very police who are put there to enforce it would be caught doing all sorts of things. If law and order break down today, you find policemen in the shops looting and stealing too. Because you're a police doesn't mean there's a halo around your head, or you have an extra boost of power because you're a police. It's just a role. That's all it is. And how many roles in societies are you playing? And what is your role in the scheme of things? So it's evident then that the societies are created around building a society where a just society, this is what life is about. Creating a justness, a just society for men and women, all ethnicities, that they were able to bask under the sun of a healthy and thriving and uplifting moral society. But at the moment, those who are running it are as corrupt as anything else today. It's not the government per se. It's the people that are placed in positions. And it's the Sahuman, we call, that is running the world today. This is the reason why we have these problems. And humans are what's the first things we tabooed in archaic humanity or archaic society? The first thing that we tabooed was incest. See? So the people that were concerned about human behavior and the nature of the human decided, well, we have to taboo this thing. Remember, humans weren't born fully loaded. We learned over a period of time. We weren't born fully loaded. We didn't know. Actually, what it said that the fatherhood was not known till way down in the development of the human society. It was the mother, the female, that was was recognized first, as she brought forth the tribe, so to speak. We go back to archaic societies. The women were known as a bringer forth. Man, we didn't know the role of a man, you know. The man, that came way down, brethren. You know, anybody could be your father, but only one can be your mother. So obviously, we worked it out. We put all the tribe secrets and the tribe rules through the lineage of the woman, because if it's going to take a woman that produces these things, the children, and she knows who her children are. I could say that's my son, you know. It's not my son. Could be my brother's kid or my cousin's kid. You see what I'm saying? Now that we've got the luxury of DNA, we don't have to worry about that now, do we? You just have a DNA test now. But before, you didn't know if that was your kid. So we could have an illegitimate king placed on the throne. We never had that advanced technology. So what we did in its place, our technology was simple. We worked it out. We put it through the woman. She's a real clock. You see what I'm saying? So she knows that if that's her child or not. I don't know if that's my kid. How many people today are fathering children? That's not even theirs. I'm probably even afraid to go and take a DNA, because they have some inkling in themselves of thinking that child ain't mine, don't look like me. You know, and so that little thing comes up there and they decide, well, I'm not going to say nothing still, just carry on. But how many people to date are fathering children that are not even theirs? And when they do find out, wow, what a bombshell. So you see, it's just the way humans deal with each other. We got to realize we haven't learnt fully. We're not fully loaded. We're still learning, and it's the wise ones that are the creators of institutions, not the ones who follow their emotions and just blatantly manipulators of society, but those that have had their faculties fully awakened and are at the forefront. It said that the Alsa man creates all of the institutions. If you understand the Kemetic side of things, you know what I mean when I talk about the Alsa man. The Alsa man is a fully evolved man. We're about solutions here. So don't think I'm rabbiting on. Some of you like to be stuck in the quagmire of confusion. Some of us, which is a tiny majority of us, tiny minority. No, that's a bit of contradiction. A minority majority. No, a tiny minority of us have the notions that if we can wallow in the low ebb of the lower energies, and they prefer to live like that, while there are some who want to rise their consciousness to the highest parts of their spirit and become the fully evolved man, so they can create institutions that, if you want to, because there's no mandate to convert nobody. I don't go and convert nobody. There's no mandate for me to do that. But what I do realize is my self-realization as a human. Not only a human, part divine, part human. This is why we're going to create institutions that are balanced and fair. This is what we did before. We are the creators. And at the end of the day, it can boil it down to how good a situation, how good a society can you create. That's what it's going to boil down to. The master creators of the just society as we were before. So it was in the beginning, and so shall it be in the end. So it's about solutions. The solution is, how do we treat these people? Or do we just kill them, chuck them away, or rehabilitate them? How do we look at it? It's all right talking about paedophilia and these indecent images and red-tear, but how do you prevent things like that happening again? The sister wasn't a convicted paedophile. She had no interest in children. But because of the nature of what she did, she made the wrong move for whatever reasons. I'm sure she's regretting it now. And her sister and the family's busted up all over it. Where are you going to lay the blame? I think the sister should never have sent it in the first place because, you know, your sister's a policewoman, man. But I heard that it says that the sister had mental illnesses as well. So I don't know. She had mental illness. That's why problems. So she decided she wants to reform society. She wants the perpetrator to be persecuted by her sister, who is a police. That don't make an ounce of sense to me, because if I was on social media and I saw that, I'm not going to go on a crusade to try and catch nobody, brethren. Because everybody is responsible for their own actions. When we start take up this mandate to save people attitude, where we get into trouble, save yourself. Let that other person work out his own salvation, his own emancipation, as my man said. Sign the line of his own emancipation with his own pen. Individual emancipation. You got to emancipate yourself. Don't look at the collective to do that. Look at the individual. If you're not emancipated in your heart, in your mind, then you're going to be in deep doo-doo. Declare your own emancipation signed by your own pen on your own tablet of your heart. When that's happened, then you're fully placed to operate in a well-ordered society. And what's what we're going for? A well-ordered society. I know we're in a disordered society at the moment. I'm not saying that we should create a society within a society. No, that's rubbish. Neither can we move to the desert and start a thing for ourselves. We could do, but is that viable? I mean, because there's no army to defend our borders. We've got no one to defend us. If we did start a community like that, and there's been many, like the one in Bridgetown, where thousands of people took their own lives because they were like starting their own societies, and they had a leader. And see, it's these leaders. If you're able to manipulate the masses, if you know how to do that, then you'll have the wherewithal to lead many sheep. It's the state of the mind of the people. It's the fickleness of the human mind. If you understood it, then you'll be in a position to manipulate people, because the masses are always ignorant. So Africa, is that a well-ordered society? You tell me. Compared to this, then the judgments are made by you. I think Africa is okay. The whole human race has their own makeup of what a well-ordered society is. If you're going to move into one, then obviously you're going to make a decision whether that society is good enough for you to participate in and you to live in, or otherwise you're going to look to move on out. And this is the thing today. People in our community are not placed in order to create the wherewithal, so these kind of things won't happen to them. And it's not even in order to prevent pedophilia, but to prevent to prevent people from being used to excuses. Everyone's got to take responsibility. The government's got to take responsibility. Everyone has to take responsibility, accountability for their actions. You can't tell people to pull themselves up by their bootstraps while you're creating all havoc and tempting them and creating the temptation, like we spoke about the cigarette and the smoker and the creator of the cigarette, knowing that it's going to kill you. Yet the government put their seal of approval on it. I said, go on, so we can kill you legally. But I can't go out there and slap you down, otherwise I'll go to jail. But the government, or the government officials, not the government, but the officials that have not had any kind of training, can go and do what they like. 10 minutes ago, we've got Ebony up next, Sister Ebony up next. So we're just winding down now. I'm looking to be here tomorrow, willing, tomorrow evening between 7 and 9 p.m. I wasn't here last week because I had quite a few things to do, but I'll make sure that I'll be here tomorrow, willing, because I want to discuss more about the wherewithal, how to put into place the wherewithal that we can handle the lower energies of our lower self, the tyranny of our lower self. We can free ourselves from the tyranny of the lower self. So we won't have any of these things. These things, we're not going to be perfect, but we're moving on to perfection. And we have been around for 2.3 million years, and it's a hell of a long time. And if you haven't learnt anything in 2.3 million years, when are you going to learn? This is the thing. 2.3 million years, a given figure for all of these anthropologists, sociologists, acceptable, but we know we've been around for longer, 5 million, and probably more than that as well. And what has the human learnt in 5 million years? How come we're still making the same mistakes? How come we act crying ignorance? Societies are failing each other. They're just geared around capitalism and the greedy man. And it seems like the evil man and greedy man is running rampant in our societies. And that's what it would appear like. But once you have a deeper and fuller understanding of the makeup and the issues of society, where it's no different for any other group, begin to highlight our differences, then obviously other groups can become wary of us, think, oh, you're talking about yourself there, innit? And we cannot be seen to be overriding everybody else and every other group to maintain our own. People ain't going to stand by and watch that. They're not going to let you bring your group in there when it's a competition. We can become competitive at the same time, but equally competitive. But to know that the format and energies that go to make up, the forces that go to make up what we call society and the human relationship with each other, and the whole. Once we have clear understanding of this, we can then go on to create a fair and just society where man and woman rule equally side by side. You know what I mean? And this is what society is all about. 11:53 and counting. 7 minutes to go. So I hope it's been informative for you, because I want us to know where to lay the emphasis. Some of us are laying the emphasis on hightailing it out of here because we don't belong here, and because of our trauma, we expect to belong somewhere else. But if you're living here, then our development, our growth, and our success is first and foremost. To be successful in our endeavors, to compete effectively in society, are the things that we needed to be focused on. I don't know about you, but I cannot be focused on another society 10,000 miles away, which I know nothing or very little about. My focus has got to be here 100% on our development. When we move on and move out, we would have left a legacy behind where our youth can give themselves the wherewithal to be successful, to understand things. It's not as black and white as people want you to believe it is. You're in a society where you're not the only one. There's plenty other people. You share territory. If you don't want to share no territory, well, you go and find some desert island somewhere where there's no one. Then you can create your own thing. It's just going to be you one. I don't know. But it's the ability to live with other people. This is where we want to be experts in. And that's what I'm looking to do, to help us understand the plan of the divinity, the plan of not the plan of man or individual or groups or founders, movers and shakers, influencers, none of these things, because you must be able to learn from within. That's where the unlimited is. Why learn from the limited? Why not learn from the unlimited, which is your divine intelligence that is there. that's there, but the divine intelligence that's not available to our knowledge then makes us prime targets for peoples that are out to live on our downfall, and they come in many disguises. They come as many as economical advisors, as influence. Then we're like sheeple, right? Well, at least I'm not a sheeple, so you shouldn't be a sheeple neither. But the masses are always ignorant, so it's the way to get yourself out of the mass into the understanding and into the self-development, self-realization of who you really are, to bring forth your true identity. You have not lost your identity. Don't let anyone fool you. You have not, and you can never lose your identity. So don't forget that. Don't forget show on the 12th. What time is it? Oh, the show ends at 12:12. So don't forget to join us at the Feferity Music and Arts Afro Karaoke Party. Come sing along. Your host is DJ Freestyle, featuring DJ Mastercut. I heard from him for a long time, plays some brilliant music. Doors open 7:30 p.m. until 1 a.m. Tickets free. Remember, free entry. That's on Sunday, the 22nd of December, 2019, upstairs at the Ritzy, Brixton, SW2 1JG. That's Brixton, SW2 1JG. And keep tuned to Feferity Radio. I don't know if that's the actual address, www.feferitylondon, all lowercase, .co.uk. And then just click on listen live or whatever, and then you're in. So stay tuned to Feferity Radio. You'll be informed. The alternative. It's not like every day that you get the same old here. It's an alternative to people's thinking. And we've got to have that alternative. Otherwise, we're going to be manipulated by scrupulous people that are out to manipulate us through our emotions on our condition. There's no good rabble-rousing us into positions of emotionalism, an emotional stupor. And then we end up on the periphery of things, and we cannot leverage our wealth. That's our problem right now. If money is our problem, it's only because we don't know how to leverage wealth. If you know how to leverage wealth, we know we have 3 something billion spending power that we spend. And if we can somehow divert some of that money back into our communities, so that you can at least become affluent. Right now, there's no future as far as the youth are concerned. I don't know if that's true in a majority, but probably in a minority of the youths, they can't see no future. They rather have it right now. The live young, die fast, get it quick. You know what I mean? Mentality, which happens to be in some of our youths, not all of them. So we don't want to make it look like it's a hopeless situation for us. We're just as ready as any other group is ready to develop without any animosity or problems, with the ability to live with other people. And once you have achieved that, and you have the ability to live with other peoples and share the territory that you're in, then I do believe, like the 1.3 million, like the majority of the 1.3 million blacks are quite successful. And I know that some of these little liberation groups don't want to hear that. They'll tell you, don't think because you've got people in certain positions that everything's okay, you know. I call them the witches of doom and gloom that sit around their cauldron and you know, drum up these spells and things. Don't think because you've got people in a few people in positions, everything's okay. They don't want you to have everything okay. It's them that don't want you, not the governments or society. It's these little ideologies that become a hindrance to you, telling you don't think, because you've got people in position that you think everything's okay. No, it's not okay. It's horrible. It's doom and gloom. It's rotten. It's all of that. These witches, like these people, like witches around the cauldron of doom and gloom, that spin their yarn. That's what they have come back to do, to create an atmosphere, an environment of doom and gloom, to get their projects over. You see, and they're coming in the disguise of liberators. So don't think, because I'm speaking about African liberation, that I'm not a witch of doom and gloom to get my idea of how societies should run and how we should be as diasporan, traumatized Africans. Look about your trauma first. You cannot take part in politics if you're traumatized. How can you compete effectively if you have not sought your trauma out before making big decisions and great epic voyages and things like that? You know what I mean? It's like going to Moseley and ask them, could you form a government, please? Or you want an army and you go and recruit people from Moseley or mental institutions. That's what it's like. There's no disrespect to those inmates who have or are experiencing mental difficulties. But I feel, I'm not mocking you in any kind of way, but you know, and we know that you're once you are experiencing these things, you're not able to really perform in any role, any leadership role, or any make any solutions for anyone if you have not dealt with your own trauma, if you're not signing the paper of your own emancipation with your own pen. If you have not done that, then you're still in the throes, you're still vulnerable, you're still susceptible to these subliminal forces that are controlling our children at the moment. You can't explain why they do the things they do, because they're opened up to these forces. We have not made them aware that these forces exist and how to nullify them, how to make them, turn them into harmless energies. This is we're supposed to be skilled in these things, not skilled in the art of ethnicity and culture. You know, it's not good enough just to know where you're from and who you're from physically on the earth, but also bring a balance and know where you are in terms of divinity. A very important factor that you're going to realize your divinity from is how to emancipate yourself from mental slavery. You never was a slave. I always tell myself, I have never been incarcerated. You may differ. You may think, yes, I have, and you may want to highlight that point. Even if I was, or my ancestors was, my predecessors was, doesn't trickle down that I must accept that I am. Why do I want to do something like that? I can't do that. I'm going to say to myself, I have never been enslaved, and that's how I am. No way. Don't talk to me about slavery, because I've never ever got tired. Yes, time to go through. You. Better, yeah. And I hope it's been informative for you. Let me rise up all the listeners there that have listened in today. Hopefully, Monday, I will be dealing with a more in-depth look at how you can create. I'll use the Metanuta by chance. Metanuta is my book. I studied in it for some 20 odd years now, and it's all good. It helps us to realize where we are in the scheme of things. We want to prevent these things happening in our community. Make us wise how to use social media, and not do silly things with it, even though there's no accountability for the people who created it in the first place. They're just there to make the money, but you're left with the aftermath. Be wise, and remember, if someone sends you any of those kind of images, never pass it on, not even to your brother. Immediately, if you don't want to report it, delete it. Report it, of course, then delete it, but never. It's a lesson that we have to learn. There's casualties of this ignorance, but we have to make sure that we don't fall foul of these things anymore, and see we are in a position to recover from many of these misnomers and misdemeanors that they set for you. It's a trap. Be careful of the trap. Social media is like a trap. You don't want to discuss everything on the social media, do you now? Come on, man. We start seeing some personal stuff on the social media that's like nuts. Why would I do something like that? Or would I tell somebody or show? The youths some of the things now, they're not as bad as before now. Because when it first came, they were showing dogs and how they scare the girls with the dogs and the snakes and things like that. Now I think they've grown up now and realised that they could get themselves in a whole heap of problems. Anyway, there's only one thing left for me to say, and that is what I always say, and that is, this is Heru saying, I am out.
Feferity Radio, music and sound.